Hey guys, it's Davin here at brewbits.com. Behind the camera as usual, we got James. Say hello, James. A little while back, I made up a John Bull with a can of Cooper's ginger beer, and I made a ginger cider. And this is the result. This is lovely. Really easy drinking, it's hazy, it's smooth, it's cold. There's a few changes I'm going to make to what I did before, and we'll go through that in a moment. But it's cidery and it's gingery, and it is absolutely bloody lovely. But Cooper's don't make that ginger beer kit anymore, and I said back in that video that you could make it with a simply ginger beer kit, and so that's what I'm going to do in this video. So what are we going to need? We're going to need a tin of John Bull Country Cider, a pouch of simply ginger beer, we're going to need a bucket so that we can brew it up in, and then we're going to need some jugs. We're going to need a trial jar and a hydrometer so we can check our gravities. We're going to need a siphon so we can move everything around, a thermometer so we can check the temperature. This little thing's a bottling wand and makes life easier when you're putting it in the bottles. And of course, something to stir it with, a plastic spoon. Right, now we've got that, I think we need to get brewing. The first thing I'm going to do is take our pouch of simply ginger beer, and I'm going to cut the top off. It's quite gooey, so don't be worried if you can't get all of it out in one go. This is going to be tricky because I cut my thumb earlier, so not being able to have an opposable thumb makes life a lot more difficult. Ah, look at that. Oh, smells a bit more ginger nut gingery, this one. Oh, that smells nice still. So, in it goes. Now, if you remember last time, I took a taster of this liquid malt extract just to make sure it was going to, be okay. So why not do the same with a simply, eh? So in it goes. What's thick? Oh, yeah, lots and lots of ginger biscuit going. Oh, oh. There's that heat. It's got that heat. It has got it. Oh, that's going to make a great ginger cider, I can tell you. So now we need to add the cider kit. And these lids, yeah, can be a right pain to get off. So I tend to take a little knife, get it up under there, find the rim. There we go. There's the rim somewhere there. There we go. Pop it off. They're on there firmly. But under the rim, that's what you've got. You see, you've got your cider yeast, you've got your nutrient. But all we're worried about right now is the concentrated apple juice in this tin. Yes. And in that goes as well. So in these tins and the pouch, there's still loads and loads of malt extract. So I've already pre-boiled my kettle because I'm going to need a couple of litres of boiling water. So I'm going to pour out a couple of litres of boiling water now. There we go. And to make life a little bit easier, I'm just going to pour a little bit straight into the bucket so I don't have so much of a dribbly jug. And then I'm going to pour some into the tin of cider. And where's my spoon? Oh, it's down in the bucket. Ooh. Stop, dribble in, there we go. And then simply, I'm just going to pop it in, give it a stir, and then get it up the sides to try and make sure we get all that concentrate out of the tin. Sweet, so now I've got all the gloop out, or mixed it up. I've got a tea towel here so I don't burn my hands on the boiling water in the hot tin. And that goes in, nice and clean. So the pouch, I like to hold on to one side because it's not quite as stable as a tin. I like to do this in a couple of batches because there's still loads and loads of liquid malt extract or ginger beer extract down at the bottom. So I'll do this in a couple of shifts. So there's number one. Oh, yeah, still loads in there. And now for number two, do it again. And do it a couple more times until you've got all the malt extract, the ginger beer out of here. Cool, that's the second batch. And look, that is a lot less malt extract in there. Right, something I did forget to do was on the bottom of here, and I noticed as I was pouring it in, there is the sachet of yeast. And that's off there, so we'll get back to that in a moment. In the rest of the boiling water goes. And now, oops, we need to give this a really good stir to mix all the cider, apple juice concentrate and the ginger beer concentrate together. So I'm going to add 3 litres in total of boiling water. So we've already added the 2. And this is the third. Give it another quick stir to mix it all in. Lovely. And now I'm going to top it up to 23 litres with cold tap water. Sweet, so that is us at 23 litres. Pop the tap back up in. So, as you can see, all the malt extracts in the concentrates are down at the bottom. We've got loads and loads of water at the top. So we need now to give it a really good stir to mix it all in and give it a really good stir. So I've taken a sample in my trial jar, and with the hydrometer, it's showing it's coming out at 1.046. So we'll take that down and we'll check it once it's finished fermenting, because I know there's malt extract in here, so it's not gonna fully ferment out like you would expect a cider to. So we'll check that in about 7 to 10 days time. With a thermometer, just check the temperature to make sure it's below 25 degrees C, so it's ready for receiving of the yeast. And checking the temperature now is actually 19 degrees, so it's smack in the right range between 18 and 22. In here, we're going to be using the nutrients, and this needs to all be stirred in as well. So I'm going to sprinkle the nutrient on top, like so. And that's kind of the vitamins going to help the yeast ferment this as best they can. And now we've got 2 sachets of yeast, where we've got a cider yeast and a ginger beer yeast. It's ginger beer yeast and sweetener. Now, I don't know about that at the moment because it's got sweetener in it, and this naturally came out quite sweet anyway. So I'm not going to add the ginger beer yeast and sweetener because I think it's quite sweet enough as it is. So I'm going to add the cider yeast. But it's up to you. If you're going to do this, you can add the ginger beer yeast and sweetener. If you're me, I've added the cider yeast. Or if you want to, why not add them both? Right, so that's in. Give that a really good stir and mix the yeast nutrient and get all the yeast down in there as well, so they're all nice and hydrated. So now all we need to do is pop the lid on, leave a little gap for the carbon dioxide to escape, and this now needs to go into a warm place at 18 to 22 degrees C, and it's going to take about 7 to 10 days. The fermentation can be quite vigorous and can create quite a bit of a foam because of the malt extract that's in the Simply Beer kit. So just pop it on a tray, or make sure that if it does spill over, you're not going to get shouted at. So into my warm cupboard for about 7 to 10 days, 18 to 22 degrees C. The ginger cider has been sat in my warm cupboard now for about 2 weeks. It's been quite a slow fermentation, and every time I kept checking it, the SG was coming out quite high at 1.014. So I've held it off for a few more days to make sure that it stayed at 1.014. And that's probably because of the malt extract that's in the ginger beer kit. So it stayed at the same, so I'm happy to move on. So what we're going to do now is down here, I have got my bottling bucket, so I've made sure the tap is turned off. And in my bucket, I have got my siphon, which I've sterilised. Now, I've also forgot the other bit at the end. So give me 2 moments and I'll be right back. So I found my end, and that's going to go into my siphon. And in that goes, and we're going to have a good quick suck and get it flowing. Now it's looking quite clear already, and that's because I've left it for a little bit longer to make sure it had actually finished fermenting. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to filter this down through, siphon this down through even. So I've taken the liberty, I've taken a little cheeky sample as well, and it smells quite malty. There's a little bit of gingeriness there. Oh, that's quite dry. Oh, it's got a heat. It's got a nice heat to it. Okay, it's lacking a bit of the ginger like it was in the Cooper's experiment, but you've still got a ginger cider going on here. I think though, if I was going to make a slight amendment to it, oh, excuse me. I remember back, because we used the cider yeast and cider yeast nutrient, there was a beer yeast and sweetener. I think if I was going to do this again, I would probably try using both yeasts and the yeast, the ginger beer yeast and sweetener, because it's a little bit on the tart side and it needs a bit of sweetening up. So I think we'll need to sweeten it up in the bucket in the next stage. Ooh. So to sweeten it up a little bit, I'm going to use some Young's wine sweetener, which is sodium saccharin. And I've done a little bit of experimenting with the ginger cider that I had in my trial jar. And for the 100 ml that I had in here, I've added just a 1/4 ml of the sweetener. And that, believe it or not, has made a huge difference. It's actually coming out really, really nice. So doing all the mathematics for how much I've got in here and how much I need of 1/4 ml per 100 ml, it works out about 55 ml. Now this bottle is 50 ml, so I'm quite happy to use this whole bottle to sweeten this 23 litres. So all I'm going to do is just pour that in. Now because this is a non-fermentable sweetener, the yeast aren't going to do anything to this, and all it's going to do is literally sweeten it up lovely. I'm going to be bottling the ginger cider because I want it to have a little bit of fizz. So here I've got 150 grams of granulated sugar, because granulated sugar also gives an extra little bit of natural sweetness. But because I'm using quite a bit of granulated sugar instead of brewing sugar, I'm just going to put some boiling water onto my sugar and give it a little bit of a stir so that it helps it dissolve a lot easier. So I've dissolved the sugar into the boiling water, and now in this goes as well with the sweetener. That's all in. So now there's my spoon, and we're going to give it a good stir and mix all the sweetener and the sugar in together and get it all nicely combined. I've been busy sterilising all my bottles, got lots of bottles here ready to go, and also my bottling wand. Now my bottling wand fits on my tap, but these can also fit on the bottom of a siphon if you want to do it that way. And all I'm going to do now is literally just fill the bottles up from the bottom. As soon as it gets to the top, drop them down, and they'll be ready to put a cap on. There we go. That. Oh. It's number 1. Just a few more to go. As you can see, I've finished bottling them all up, and at the moment they're all quite squidgy. That's because there's no carbon dioxide built up in it yet. So I need to put these bottles back into my warm place for about another week for the carbon dioxide to build up in here and make them nice and fizzy. Once it's all built up, I'll put them somewhere nice and cool for a couple more weeks, perhaps a little bit longer for them to clear and for them to fully bottle condition, and then pop one in the fridge, pop it open and enjoy it. So all I've got to do from now, apart from pop it in my nice warm cupboard, is to create a nice little label. I'll probably call it something like Simply Bull Ginger Cider, and make up some nice little labels, pop those on, and then hopefully in about a month, 2 months time, we'll do a tasting video to see how this ginger cider comes out with the Simply kit and the John Bull kit together. But initial tastings are good. So if you've tried making this, then down in the comments below, let me know how yours turned out. Remember to like this video as well for me, and also subscribe for the next video, and especially for when we do the tasting of ours. But yeah, let me know how yours turned out. And for now, happy brewing, and I'm going to enjoy this tiny finishing little taster of my Simply Bull ginger cider. Cheers, happy brewing.